G'day, Jake. Thanks for the comment, mate. So let's have a conversation around how to grow and scale a profitable cafe. We work with lots of cafes and hospitality venues over the years. Some have been phenomenal. Some have been cash-eating monsters. So I want to share with you some of the financial secrets that can hopefully help you stop losing some money. So let's start by saying that I hope that you have a great value proposition. You've got a really good menu and you actually do have traffic. You're in an area that is positioned well. You've got consistency and predictability around the inflows of traffic and customers. And ultimately, you've got some of those things dialed in. If you've got a really good core product, really good offer, and you've got a good client base, then there are a few things that most cafes get wrong when it comes to actually running a profitable and cash flow positive venue and how you can fix it. So number one is that you need to understand your unit economics of your business. And there's a few key metrics that you need to work out. What is your average order value? So what is the average ticket value that people spend when they come and sit down with you or they come into your cafe or your venue? So many venues don't understand this number, and this is a critical number because it allows us to understand how much we can afford to spend on marketing, how much we can afford to spend on acquiring a customer, and ultimately understanding what our margins are on that particular average order value. The second thing, we want to work out what we need to do in order to break even in that particular business. So we need to work out, based on the average orders that we've got coming through, the number of covers that we've got on a particular day or week, we've got to work out what is our variable cost of sale associated with delivering on that average order value. So let's say, for argument's sake, the average person spends $25. What are we spending in terms of food and beverage in order to produce that $25 of revenue? By understanding our gross profit margin on both the beverage and the food, it allows us to then work out what our gross profit is and then work out how we can grow and scale that business. What I notice for many venues is that their back office, their chefs or their baristas are over ordering stock. They don't have smart purchasing in place. So what we basically want to do is, once we understand that average order value and we work out what our forecasted demand is going to be for the coming weeks, we want to make sure that we set a static percentage of the maximum amount that we can spend on cost of sales. So we don't have wastage and we don't have beans and other stuff that's sitting on the shelf unnecessarily, okay? So for many venues, we want to make sure that we've got that dialed in, because I see so many businesses spending their profits on stock that's going to fund next week's revenue. The next thing we want to do is we want to do an analysis of the profit and loss. So we've got our top line revenue, we've got our cost of sales, which should be clearly segmented in food and bev. That gives us our gross profit. And then we want to have a look through our profit and loss to make sure that there's no expenses that we've got there that actually aren't adding value. So audit subscriptions, other things that you've picked up over the years, things that basically just aren't adding value. Ideally, you should have a process once a month to download your bank statement and to go through line by line and either retain, reduce, or remove expenses, okay? Now, in hospitality, particularly since COVID, because hospitality was significantly affected, we have seen a spike in how much it costs you for your wages. So I want you to work out, on average, for your top line revenue, what is the percentage that you are spending on wages and salaries? As a general rule of thumb, we ideally want that to be about 30% of top line revenue, ideally no more than 40%. We've seen some venues go upwards of 60%, and of course, no wonder they don't have any margin. So what we want to make sure is that we've implemented a smart rostering strategy. So we can say, okay, if I want to get my wages to 30 to a maximum of 40%, based on my average order value and the peaks and troughs in my point of sale software that tells me per day, what is my top line revenue that I'm producing, how much is the maximum that I can afford to spend on wages and salaries to deliver a great experience, but also remain profitable. Because we've got to realize your profit is top line revenue minus cost of sales minus operating expenses equals operating profit. And by understanding the average order value and the unit economics, understanding our cost to serve, our cost of sales, understanding if there's any unnecessary expenses that we're incurring, and having a dynamic strategy around managing our wages based on our forecasted demand, this allows us to have better control over our cash flow. Now, along with all of this, when we do this analysis for our clients, we also implement a cash flow operating system that we call the Profit Mastery Machine. It's a series of bank accounts or buckets that allow us to segment revenue and expenses into various accounts that allow us to have more control over our cash flow. Because the thing about a cafe or any high volume business is that we have what we call cash flow bottlenecks. that consume cash flow from the business without us even knowing. We're like, I've had a crack a week, I've been super busy. You look at the business bank account and you go, oh shit, where did all of the money go? So by segmenting our cash flow into top line revenue, GST, cost of sales, operating expenses, owner's pay, tax, and profit. So we have 6 bank accounts. And then we set up a philosophy of basically segmenting that money into the various buckets so then we can control the spending, because if it's not in the bucket, we can't spend it. This drastically changes our relationship in terms of cash flow management. We become proactive as opposed to reactive. I have some more resources on this because it's a relatively in-depth strategy. So if you jump in my bio to Wealth Health Check and in our Facebook group in the guides section, I've got a step-by-step guide of how you can implement this strategy and how it can help you improve your cash flow. So these are a few quick tips. This is all about understanding the numbers, understanding the sensitivity of those various financial levers, and then implementing these proactive strategies to help you improve your profits and your cash flow. I hope this helps, Jake. If you've got any follow-up questions, let me know, and we'll chat to you soon.